What I would love to talk a little bit about is what I consider real financial planning. It sounds so simple at the beginning, and I think as we unpack it, we're going to realize like there's so much to understand here and so much value that I don't think we think about when we're doing. So real financial planning, aligning your use of capital. And capital to me is time, money, energy, and attention. Time, money, energy, and attention. Aligning your use of capital with what's important to you, right? With what's important to the client. Now, there's a reason there's a gap here, because that's what we're going to talk about. So I realize this doesn't look like alignment here, but I think of these things as just this never-ending flowing Venn diagram that often there's a gap. Most of the time, this gap is called being human, right? Like, I know that how I spend my time doesn't always match what is important to me. But every once in a while, and we'll talk more about this, every once in a while that becomes a Venn diagram. There's a little overlap, right? And occasionally, and I can only remember like one time in my life where they would look like one circle. You know what I mean? Like it was a perfect overlap. And that was like Christmas Eve one time. I remember thinking while I was sitting on the couch with the dog and the family, and we were watching whatever movie we were watching, and we just had our traditional Christmas dinner, and everything was perfect, right? Perfect overlap. My use of time, energy, money, and attention was perfectly overlapped with exactly what was important to me. And then I woke up the next morning, we started opening all the presents, and I was like, who bought all this stuff? And where does it? And boom, they were spread apart again, right? So use of capital, time, money, energy, and attention with what's important. Now, I want to point something out. I've been thinking about this for well over a decade. This actual drawing, well over a decade. And it used to say with what aligning somebody's use of capital with what they say is important to them. Right? And I've been thinking about that word say. I've been thinking about that word say for a decade. Like, because I found myself saying, I don't care what you tell me is important to you. Show me your checkbook and your calendar, and I'll tell you what's important to you. Right? You know the old saying, the checkbook and the calendar never lie? Right? So I was like, well, wait a second. If I don't really care what you say is important to you, do we really want alignment with what we say is important to us, or do we want alignment with what's really important to us? And of course, we want alignment with what's really important to us. And ideally, those would be the same thing. But as we're going to talk about in a minute, they're almost never. I mean, it takes a long time for it to become the same thing. So let's just start here. There's almost always a gap. I wondered, like, what was that gap called for a really long time? Like, why is there a gap there? And somebody said to me, that's just called being human, right? It's just this idea that we're constantly saying, this is really important to me. And then we behave in a way that's not aligned with that. That's inauthentic behavior. And then we're recalibrating and saying, oh, I think I want to change that. And we're making a change. The question I have is, who in your life has permission to talk to you about this space of inauthentic behavior? Do you have anybody in your life? Like, obviously a spouse or partner, but wouldn't we all agree that there's a strong disincentive to enter this space? Like, have you tried it with a spouse or partner? Yeah, kids don't know that they're not supposed to enter that space, right? They haven't encountered the disincentive quite yet. But have you noticed with your kids that depending on how you react, they learn that, oh, maybe that's not a safe thing to do, right? So wife, spouse, good friends, but we all sort of realize the problem. Like, I'm having this problem right now. I've got a good friend who I'm noticing some inauthentic behavior around. right? Like it's super evident to me. And I have been thinking for a couple of months, how do I go there? Why I am curious about why is it so hard for us? I kind of consider myself an expert at entering this space. And it's really hard to do. So with my good friend, I would like to go and say to him, let's just pretend his name is John. Hey, John, I've noticed these things. And I think the reason it's so hard is the disincentive. Like we've tried this before, and sometimes people don't react very well. We want to avoid causing conflict, but there's also something inherent. There's an inherent problem that I'm really interested in, which is if we go there, there's a piece of me that's scared that I'm going to get called out too. You know, there's a little piece of me way back there, even though I say like, I love feedback and I want people to tell me there's a little piece of me that says, hey, am I going to get called out as well? And then there's another piece from like wisdom traditions all the way down to like puritanical sort of Christian tradition of, well, wait, why are you focused on the speck in somebody else's eye? You've got a beam in your own eye. And we've almost been taught not to be focused on other people. So all of that, and I'm saying like maybe there's real truth to that, and sometimes it's misapplied. All of that builds up this like disincentive to go here.
Greetings, Carl here. Now, you just watched a clip from the Worldwide Chapter Meeting. And what you didn't see in that clip was the couple hundred advisors over in the chat talking to each other about how to build businesses effectively, how to optimize their lives for happiness, how to make a massive impact in the world, how to talk about the value that they provide, how to do scary things in public. That was all going in the chat and you didn't see that. It's so powerful. And we do it every month. And I think you would love it. To learn more and to get an invitation, just hit the link below.